you will be happy to know that starting with this lesson, we will really begin minimizing the blah blah and maximizing the music content. We start by looking at major chords, and you will remember from the previous lesson that what makes a chord major really is the third. A major chord is then made up of the root, which is the first degree and gives the name to the chord, the major third and the fifth. Grades 1, 3 and 5. In the case of E, for instance, we have E, A flat and B. And you can really see them in the shape of the major scale. You remember we studied 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you have 1 major third and fifth. In fact, you can find these grades, these tones, in the shape of the chord you're most familiar with. Only in this case, the disposition is not the way, the sequence of the notes is not exactly the same. Because you have the fifth here, the root here, and the third here. The way notes are arranged within a chord is called inversion. For the same chords, in fact, you can have different inversions in different parts of the neck, and obviously they all sound different, although the chord is the same. Now, it's important to know that in jazz, chords are mostly made up not of 3 notes, but of 4. For a richer, fuller sound, we have to add the 7th degree, and obviously, given we're talking major chords, the 7th is major, up there, just half step below the octave. In the case of E, root, major third, fifth, and major 7th. That's half step below the octave. Root, major third, fifth, and major 7th. Now, look at the shape of the E chord you would play here halfway up the neck. This is your barré chord for E. What you do is that you lower this half a step. This would be the octave. You lower this half a step and you end up with a major 7 chord. This is called E major 7. Now, a shape, a jazzy shape that I use a lot for that chord, there's nothing wrong with this, it's perfectly fine, but I use a shape that implies the fifth. You don't need to play the fifth. And so I played this. It's the same chord, but the sound is slightly different and to me more jazzy. In order to practice this shape and also to practice the target approach, you remember the semitone target approach we discussed earlier, you can play this vamp here. And now let's move to the major chord shape you're familiar with that has the root on the bottom E string. Take an A chord, that's an A major, and that's the shape I suggest you play for a major 7 chord. A major 7 sounds richer, fuller, more jazzy. The A major you're familiar with, the A major 7 you would play in jazz. Needless to say, you can use the same vamp to practice this particular shape. Furthermore, in jazz you will very often find chords in which instead of one of the 4 normal building blocks, that is 1, 3, 5 and 7, the root, the third, the fifth and the 7th, you have either the 6th, which is also called 13th, the 9th and sometimes even the 11th. First, how come we're talking about 9, 11 and 13 when there are only 7 notes in a scale? Well, it's simple. You just add 7 to your counting. This is made out of convention and practicality. So the 9th is in reality the 2nd degree, the 11th is the 4th, and the 13th is the 6th. In the case of C, D is the 2nd degree. So a C major chord that has a D in the voicing is called C major 9 or C added 9. F is the 4th degree, so any major chord containing an F is called C major 11 or C added 11. And A is the 6th degree, so a C major 6 or C add 13. Why is 13? Because 6 plus 7 is the C chord which somewhere has an A in the voicing. Be careful though, when you see a C9 for instance in the chart, that is not a major 9 chord. It's a dominant chord containing a 9th degree. Same for C6, but we will look at dominant chords in a couple of lessons. Let's look at some voicings now. This is the shape I use most frequently for a major 7 chord that has the root on the A string and includes the 9. So here how nice and jazzy it sounds. This is an E major add 9 or E major 9. Ha! You remember the shape we looked at before. This has no 9th, and this is the same chord with a 9. Very nice. Now a super rich voicing with the root on the bottom E string and contains both the 6th and the 9th is this one here. This is an A major 6-9, and if you play that in your guitar shop you're sure to make people turn around. See how nice it sounds. A major 6-9. Now let's go back to the shape I've shown you a moment ago for the E major 7 chord, right? That's probably the shape I use the most. And I would like to share you another wee secret that adds color and movement to your comping and to your vamps. You can use this instead of or in combination with the target approach, and it consists of playing different sets of strings. You see, I'm not moving anything in my left hand. The shape of the left hand remains the same. What I do with the pinky, I press on this fret here. And you see, the position is already there. All I have to do is to press with the pinky the E string. And the chord remains the same, but it acquires a different sound. So what you can do is you see I do the same on the D. So finally, let's look at a major 6-9 shape with the root on the A string. We had just seen a major 6-9 chord with the root on the bottom E, an A major 6-9, and now let's look at a C major 6-9. This is another beautiful sounding chord, very rich, and in fact is the opening chord for the jazz standard Take the A Train.